we use air quotes a lot that you can't see on this show, but
I've done that since we've been on here. I didn't even think about that.
I know.
You guys can't see me actually air quoting.
Fit in perfectly.
See, you have to actually speak it. That's the beauty of audio.
Welcome to Music Musing. Every once in a while, my brother George and I would have these conversations about music. Music is our passion, and it's a huge part of our lives, and we decided to share those conversations with you. So if you love music, sit back and enjoy this podcast. Okay, welcome back to Music Musing. Got my brother on the line.
How we doing?
Good. We got a special guest today for a fun topic I'm going to talk about. I'm going to introduce him, just a little bit of background between Josh Boles and me. We had a band together. It was called Contrast. We actually met working at Geico a little before that. My singer Patrick and I were writing music, and it was time for us to move into getting a drummer and kind of getting a band together. And somebody said, "Hey, I think Josh plays drums." So I went over and started talking to him, and Josh had the arduous task of putting drums to songs that Patrick and I had written like years before. But not only did he exceed expectations, but we really kind of, the three of us, we had an original bass player and then a second bass player, but the three of us kind of formed the core sound of what Contrast ended up being. I think we spent like a lifetime together over about 3 years. Josh is, I know you're on the line, you're waiting, but are you still supported by Saluda? Does Saluda still send you stuff, talk to you, or?
That's a really interesting question. Yeah. Well, it's funny because I don't think about it as much, but I play them still. And yeah, technically I am still supported by Saluda. Yeah.
When I looked it up on the website, your picture was still on there. So I was like, he's still with Saluda.
That's how I know. I haven't talked to him in forever, but
But you still
not
play
since
them.
then. Oh yeah, I still play, and I play.
Yeah,
I play their stuff. I still have some of their stuff that I had when we played in Contrast.
Yeah, and I think there was a lot of stuff that they were sending you that you were kind of trying out on stage. I remember you had some really nice hand-hammered cymbals that you were playing that you were so excited about, and then you got to actually try them out live. So
yeah, that was a big deal. I mean, yeah, it was. What I was told was that they were prototypes. They had a couple of sets, and I got to try out, I guess what would become a part of a new line that they created eventually. Now, I mean, then they only had a couple of different series. I say a couple, probably a handful, 3 or 4 different series at the time. But they've expanded tremendously since then. And but yeah, that was a really great experience.
Time to start calling for royalty checks.
I still
sounds
have
like
them.
to me.
They're trashed to bits. You know how that goes when you crash them, crack them, and bits of metal go flying around all over the place and stuff. I actually still have those 2 crashes. I will not let go of them, but man, they are mangled.
Yeah, nice. And I would say that was probably one of the biggest cleanups we always had at the shows, was cleaning up with your little chips of sticks everywhere. I mean, not to make it too big of a deal, but again, I really, that part of my life in music was, we shared a lot together and going through that, and that, I couldn't have asked for a better person in that position.
I agree. I feel the same way, and it was a tremendous experience. It was a killer experience, and just I wouldn't trade it for anything. I still talk about it today with friends and family. We recall those experiences. My wife's heard the stories about playing at the Masquerade and all of our shows and people that we opened for, and losing the opening spot for 7 Mary 3 on rock paper scissors. Like, why did you make me do that? I was the wrong person for that.
That was actually on my list. I was going to bring it back down by saying everything was great except for that one little spot. George, were you actually standing there for that whole process? Okay.
No,
I couldn't remember if it was before or if it was right before, but yeah.
I was in the building, but that was as close as I got.
I was the wrong guy for the job. There's no doubt about that. I lost. I was like, no, let's do best out of 3. Still lost. Whatever it was. It was a great
I think
show,
I still
though.
have a picture. It was. It was
a great
I don't know.
experience.
George, was it a great show?
No, it was a great show, and if you wouldn't have lost, you wouldn't have had the story wouldn't have been nearly as cool. I don't think so.
No,
I mean, you gotta
true.
look-
I
put a
think that
positive
story goes
spin on
along
it.
with it.
because I think that's one of the best stories about it is it makes the story better. It's like, and they say, if it doesn't rain on your wedding day, it's good luck, so.
Yeah.
So it's one of those deals. I look at it as it's all a bonus, and I think it's that just makes the story that much better and funnier to tell, I guess. Not so funny in the moment, I guess, when you're in it, and because I wasn't in it. But
you were there for a lot of them, though. You were there for a lot of the shows. And,
that was my career for a while.
But I think that's kind of why I wanted to do this particular talk. Josh, we're all the same. We listen to a lot of the same type of music. Mm-hmm. We listen to a lot of rock. We listen to a lot of hard rock, a lot of metal, a lot of, at the time we were listening to, a lot of things that were influencing us. We even opened for Nonpoint, which I didn't have any idea who they were, but I know you and Birkenfield kind of were a big deal with them.
Oh, they were awesome.
But
yeah.
Yeah, and
they are awesome.
But I mean,
should I say they were awesome?
Yeah, I was gonna say they're still. So, like, just to give some of that insight, like, what's like your top 2 albums that you could always put on and listen to nonstop? I mean, what's something you can go to all the time?
Oh, Tool. I mean, band all day long. Tool and Seven Dust are by far away my most listened to bands. When Tool is on hiatus for years in between albums, it's all Seven Dust, and then I have to say, "I'm so sorry, Seven Dust. I gotta let you go." When Tool comes out with a new album, they just came out with Inoculum recently, right?
Yeah.
And this album is just incredible. It's a really long tracks, and I'll get into how that ties into running later on when you want me to do that. But
Me too.
But Inema,
absolutely. The new
Inema,
album is. Yeah. I think it's pretty much right where they left off, and if you're, I've heard a lot of naysayers, it wasn't worth the wait and so on and so forth, but to me it was. I just the first song I heard off the new album, I was really impressed with it being a Tool album. I was hoping they didn't Maynard's got some deep thoughts out there, and he's got a lot of radical side projects and stuff, and I was hoping they stayed true to the formula, kind of for guys like us that are fans of Tool, and I think they literally just knocked it out of the park with this new album. I really like the whole thing. So
there was so much criticism, and I don't know if that's just because the social media environment has changed so much in the time between 10,000 Days and Inoculum, but it's like a part of it's the atmosphere. Everybody can't wait to is this censored? Can I say whatever I want?
You can say it. You can say it. I'll definitely clear up what I need to, or I'm just going to make it explicit one of the two. So
I'll do the best I can with it. I mean, I'm cognizant of it. But anyway, so what I was going to say is everybody wants to bitch and complain about anything really, and so you can't win for losing. This Tool's incredible. They've proven themselves. People have said,
Absolutely.
well, they just needed to make money, or they're just satisfying some record contract. Come on, don't give me that. I mean, it's bullshit. They've never been that way.
If you really pay attention to Maynard and who he is, that's not the case.
They would not sell out like that. There's just no way. I refuse to believe that. I think it's one of the best albums they've ever recorded. I think those songs are genius. And I was telling my brother this, not right after the album came out, I find myself gravitating towards the guitars in a lot of cases more so than the drums. And that's a big deal as a drummer, that's a huge Danny Carey fan. That's a big deal. But I think it's some of Adam Jones's best stuff he's ever done. I mean, it just.
No, I agree. I was just going to say that with that new album, it was just, it's kind of, they said, he had written guitar tracks for years and saved them. And it was like, hey Maynard, I still have this. And he would listen to it and he was like, no, keep that, and he said they basically went back and forth some of the articles I read, Maynard was like, no, seriously, just hold on to this, and let's expand on it. So taking those guitar tracks and expand, having him expand on them. And I think, and people can, like you just said, people are going to complain because they want to complain. And I always think of the song, Hooker with a Penis, when people say Tool's, a sellout.
Yeah.
Because if you listen to the lyrics of that song, I laugh. I think that's one of their best songs, and I laugh all the way through it.
It's great, isn't it?
That it is.
Yeah.
It is a huge middle finger from Maynard to everybody, and it's still. I mean, it holds more water now, than it ever did when he wrote it.
Yeah.
And I think it's absolutely hysterical, and that song it equates to this new album. I think even more than it did when he wrote it, and I think it's. That's a big selling point for me, and I always loved that about him. And I saw him. I never got to see Tool due to me living my life, but I did get to see him with Pussifer once, and it was just absolutely breathtaking. Maynard himself literally set the entire stage up for the band to come on. He did like an hour-long monologue while he was literally setting all the electronics, all the drum kit, everything up for a Pussifer show.
That's crazy.
And I mean, I was literally just mouth hanging open the whole time, like hanging on his every word. It was like so bizarre. It was like a one-man show, and then they came on, and then they played for like 2 hours of this psychedelic trip down WoW, and it was, I've always loved them and always respected them. And to tie a bow on this, I mean, your playing style always reminded me of them anyway, even before I kind of made the connection, because I didn't know, I mean, how, later on through the years, Craig's like, oh no, he's a huge Tool fan. I'm like, yeah, well, it shows, that type of thing.
Yeah. Well,
maybe too much.
I think we had actually
no such thing.
We stuck an off meter part at the end of one of our songs at some point in time, and it's kind of funny because we had a second drummer for a while, and then we had a little session where we kind of got together and played again, and you were like, where's that offbeat at the end of the song where we change meters?
Right.
That's a Tool thing right there.
It's such a cool part of the song. It's so cool.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, that passion that we've got for music, you've got it too, and that's more of what I wanted to show. It wasn't necessarily that I wanted to hear you talk to, but I know that you're passionate about music like we are, and rock music.
Absolutely.
And I know just by watching social media that you're a runner, and way further better than a runner than I am at this point. But it's something that I've dealt with since I started. I literally put a mix on of my music when I started running, and I couldn't use it. I couldn't use a mix of my songs to run with. All I was doing was focusing on, I know that song. It's a 2.57 minute song. I know how long I'm got to run. I still have to run for another 15 minutes. This isn't going to eat up enough time. That's all I kept thinking.
Wow.
The knowledge of the length of those songs, and you just mentioned it a second ago. Tool's got a lot of long songs. If I know rock as well as I do, when You Shook Me All Night Long comes on for AC/DC, while that's inspiring, while I was running, all I could think of was it's 3 minutes and 27 seconds. And I'm like, that's not enough time.
That's not long enough, man.
It's not long enough.
That's not long enough.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So,
go ahead.
So what do you I know you probably went through the startup process as well of figuring out what worked for you, but I kind of want to fast forward to the end for now. Mm-hmm. What do you run to right now? Well, first off, how long do you run? How much are you running right now?
In distance or frequency? Like how?
Both.
Okay. So, well, now the world is a little different right now. As we
yeah,
know.
True.
A little bit.
So I'm running a lot more now because I can't go to the gym. And
right.
I guess to talk about now, I have to very briefly say, you guys know that I do the Spartan thing, and
yes, right.
And that's what inspired me to get into running in the first place. And believe me, I it probably sounds strange to say it, but I'm not really crazy about running. I'm not for somebody to call me a runner. It's like, I'm not a runner. That's ridiculous. I mean, I run Spartan races, but a runner, there's no way. Because the truth is, the people who are runners are very inspiring people, and it's where you get it's mental, it's physical, it's painful, and it's a constant challenge. And not to be too far off topic, I try to for me to get through it, I think about it as a meditative experience, and that goes really well with the music too. It's your breath, it's the timing of your breath and your cadence and your pace, and saying to myself as I'm running, constantly telling myself, don't get too excited, don't get too breathy, find that pace that works. Don't worry about how fast you're going, and don't try to, because it's tough, because I want to try to set a goal and run to that goal. But when when you start out, just take the first step, just try to go a mile without stopping or something like that, and then it ends up becoming 3 miles. And you're like, well, people run 5Ks a lot, so I'll just try to get to a 5K. And then I would practice a 5K, and it's like, well, I run these Spartan races that are 9 miles long, and some of them, once a year I'll do one that's a half marathon, 13, 14 miles long with obstacles and all that kind of stuff. But you have to train for it. So I have to run to do those things that are so inspiring to me. The Spartan thing is so inspiring. It was the catalyst for my big weight loss journey. And so in order to be successful at that, I have to run. And I have found myself over the recent years and months really starting to enjoy running this time frame where there's no gym to go to, kind of circling back to that. There's no gym to go to, and the only way I'm going to get my heart rate going and try to keep the fat off, off my body, is to go running. And so now I'm running more frequently. So I'm running 2-3 times a week, sometimes 4 times a week. I try not to do it back to back, just because I'm 45 years old, and so I want to keep the knees, and I have serious problems with my low back. I'm waiting for us to get past this coronavirus deal so that I can actually go get surgery. You can't get elective surgeries right now.
Not now.
So I've gone through the MRI, I've got the treatment plan, I've got the surgery plan. I just need to wait for this to go by so we can actually schedule the surgery. But so I'm running 10Ks all the time now, and that's unbelievable to think about. It's like I can just go out and run 6.21 miles every other day, and that's basically what I'm doing. I haven't run a 5K in at least 2 weeks. They've all been 10Ks, and I just got a personal record. I've been chasing. When I'm running, I'm not like, oh God, I have to try my best to get under 50 minutes in a 10K in under 50 minutes. I'm like, my first mile, if it feels good, I'm like, okay, well, if you can do this another mile, and then another mile, and then another mile, you might actually end up running under 50 minutes. And that's what happened last week. And I was like, wow, oh my God, I can't believe it. I finally did it. And I beat my last 10K time by almost a minute. And wow. And you don't realize it. You don't really set out to do it. It just kind of happens while you're out. It's just like any kind of conditioning. The more you do it, and just when it's running, you think psychologically running's like, I'm out running a really long distance, and I'm going to keep doing that at some particular pace. And it's hard to believe sometimes. And I don't know if all runners feel that way, but
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think I really underestimated how much of it was mental. I know you're talking about training. Yeah. You're talking about putting your body into a mode where it knows that if you start trotting, your body knows that it's going to be prepared for something. And again, after that first mile how you feel and how that run's going to go. Like today, I did not feel good when I started out running. Mm-hmm. I knew that my time was going to be a lot off from what it had normally been, but it's mental. And that's kind of where this whole idea of talking to you and George about what you're listening to, because it is my mode of mental in running will change drastically by what I'm listening to.
Yeah.
And like I said, I can't listen to the stuff that's my normal mix. I have tried podcasts. Podcasts seem to work for me some days, but not others.
Yeah.
I think it's the podcast that I'm listening to. If it's something I'm really interested in, the time will fly by. If it's a podcast I'm putting on because I want it in the background, I'm marking the seconds.
That's interesting. Yeah, I have experimented with a few different things just to see. Sometimes you don't realize it till you're doing it, and so I have some audiobooks that I listen to, and any audiobook that I've tried to run to has been a failure. I don't feel motivated at all because I'm trying to pay attention to the content. Right. Yeah. And so yep. I feel like that distracts my mind away from focusing on getting through the run and my pace because you're right. And again, I don't consider myself a runner. I think that people who have made running their lives, and I know I'm kind of accidentally doing that on my own, but so I'm actually kind of becoming the thing, I guess, that I don't think I am, if that makes any sense. But yeah, but what I'm learning from my own personal experience is that like you said, you hit the nail on the head as far as I'm concerned, is that it's hugely mental, your mind. It's got to be, I don't know, 3/4 of the experience. I'm really not sure. I don't know what other people would say, but I'm constantly talking to myself, and then I have a book in the background that I'm trying to pay attention to. It's just not going to work.
Somebody else talking to you.
Yeah, it's like, okay. Yeah. So every time I run, so it used to be before Fear Inoculum came out, I ran to Seven Dust. I just open up Spotify, hit shuffle on Seven Dust, and go. And sometimes if I hit a song that's not quite doing it for me, I'll just skip it and keep skipping until I find something. But since Fear Inoculum came out, it's easy, man. I mean, it's an 80-minute album, and so it's like this is covered. I got it in one album. I don't have to think about it. I can just start it. I'll skip through some of the they got the ambient stuff or whatever they're doing in between tracks. I mean, I've listened to it so many times. I know it's 2 tracks break, 1 track break, 1 track break, solo break. Favorite song on the whole album, done. But something check me on that. I don't know if that's quite right, but it works. Awesome. It works really well for a long run, and I don't have to. I can enjoy it, and it does become meditative, and I don't have to listen to every beat, but I can. There's so much going on in this music that I can listen to the guitars and the bass, and then independently the drums and Maynard, and it's just. I think to me it's the whole experience, and it gets me through it. That's the best way I can say it. It just gets me through it. And I don't. Yeah, I haven't listened to anything else since Fear Inoculum came out. I haven't listened to anything else when I run.
That's awesome.
George, did you ever try anything audio other than music, or did you just use music?
No, I'm an overthinker by nature. So there's enough people talking in there to like podcasts, audiobooks. No, I never even bothered. I had to take my mind out of it a little bit. Like I was, and I think most, we use air quotes a lot that you can't see on this show, but
I've done that. I've done that since we've been on here. I didn't even think about that. I know. You guys can't see me actually air quoting.
Fit in perfectly.
See, you have to actually speak it. That's the beauty of audio. No, so in air quotes, as runners, I have to take my mind out of it to an extent, like where I was. I go like you just said. It's 2 songs break, 1 song break, 1 song break. Favorite song. Me personally have to take myself out of that sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like I will but it has to be like to run with for any kind of time or any kind of goal, it has to be faster paced music. It has to be something heavier, something faster to keep me, because if I'm listening to
Sade.
If I'm listening to, I was going to say Jerry Rafferty.
Sade, he's not allowed on this podcast anymore if he's listening to Sade.
Well, no, but
that's
yeah,
not metal. I'm sorry, that's not metal.
Exactly, that's not metal.
Do you have to pick a metal song that's just not going to do it for, a metal music that's not going to do it for you? Like I don't know if I could go out and listen to like Faster Pussycat or something like that and get it done. I don't know where that came from, by the way. But
well, yeah, exactly.
But
it's the same.
But heavy aggressive music. I mean, that's my thing though. So heavy aggressive music gets the job done for me more so than any other style.
1,000%, absolutely.
But that
that's what I was going to say.
So of the things I learned this morning by running, I went through 7 different things this morning. I think maybe it was because I was thinking about what I was going to talk about tonight that I was trying different things. There are people who mix running mixes that are beats per minute. That and you can pick whatever you want, 60, 120, 80, 70, whatever you want. There's a lot of people out there that will produce or put together music that fits that particular running rhythm. And Josh, I don't know how you are about it, but I've found that me running with music in time is coincidental sometimes.
Yeah.
That I don't really pace myself based off of the music, but I'm aware that the people create those out there. I tried that once; it failed miserably.
I've never.
What I found.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying I've never heard of that. That's really compelling to me. It's very interesting.
Yeah, if you put in like 80 BPM run music or run rock into Spotify, you will get some lists that have per beat, that many beats per minute.
That's wild.
Wow.
I could not handle that kind of structure running. I don't. To me, I'm running. This is on my terms. I am not.
Exactly.
I'm not going to let. I'm not because then I have to run that pace. Like, what? I don't want to run that fast right now, or because I go out and I just take whatever comes my way every time I go. It's therapeutic. It's like I'm taking in the elements. There's the weather impacts how well I run. If it's cooler or it's less sunny, whatever, all of that impacts me when I'm on my run. If I'm forced at a certain beat per minute, now I catch it when I'm running, and if I happen to hit a track and I'm on, my steps are on pace with that track, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool, But then it gets off time. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm not going to try to keep up with the time. That's too much to. I just can't be constrained to that.
So I found out that there's those out there. There are people that take rock music like Guns N' Roses and AC/DC and put them to a dance or a quick beat. And that is the most horrid thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Yeah. So it's like Guns N' Roses with an
let's not bring that up again.
It's so bad.
Oh, did you do that?
But again,
George did that, didn't he?
Yes.
But I was I was trying anything I could do this morning to see what else would work. But I also found out that there's also run mixes that people have made where they've taken a rock song and recorded it with like somebody else doing it as a toned down version, but in the same beats per minute. That's just as equally as horrible.
Yeah.
But I think I've found for me, the best runs I've had so far have been me taking somebody else's run rock mix and made it like new rock or contemporary rock. And I enjoy the sound. I enjoy listening to the guitar. I enjoy listening to the drums, the singer, whatever. But it's new music. So if I put something that I'm familiar with on, I have a hard time running with it. It's mental. Yeah. If I put something that's new rock, a new rock mix that somebody else has put together, a lot of times there's going to be a song in here and there in their mix that I'm going to know. It's just going to come up. Like what was one? Jimmy Eat World came up today.
That's too bad.
Yeah, I like Jimmy Eat World. Calm down. But that came on, and I'm like, okay, well, that's a decent song. I like that song. I'll just let that one on. But all the other songs on it were new rock bands that I either heard of here or there, but didn't really listen to their music, or it's new music that I've never heard before, but I like it. So I have actually found that, and maybe it's the thinking thing too. Maybe it's me thinking about, hey, maybe I should start listening a little bit more new rock. Maybe I should see what's out there and see what kind of rock now appeals to me.
Yeah.
Maybe that's that whole mentality of me just kind of experiencing something, and by the time I'm done experiencing a 3.5 minute song, that time has went by like a minute for me. So that's where I've kind of settled with it. Again, there's a particular podcast that I really like. I put on the other day, and I wasn't even done running when the podcast was over. Like, my run was supposed to be over, but the podcast had another 3 or 4 minutes, and I just kept going because I was in the groove.
Okay,
I love this podcast. I was listening to it. I know, but and then today or 2 days ago, I put on a podcast, and I'm like, 3 minutes in, I'm like, I can't listen to this. It's throwing me off. It's no good. No.
Yeah. See, that to me is tragic. Like, if you start a run and you get like a bad string of songs or a bad part, it ruins my whole day. I don't know. I mean, it literally, like,
all right, I'm not start over or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like, okay, I'm just I'm gonna go get a Gatorade and then try this again in an hour with like good music because it pisses me off. It's almost that bad. It like really, because I have to get out there and it's visceral. You have to, like you just said, the weather, you're taking in the elements, you're taking in the scenery. If you run the same ish path, or if you go a different way, or exactly like me, I kind of have to. I mean, I'm limited in the area that I can run, so I mean, I know like how far certain roads are, certain distances are, certain places are. And like Craig even said, like how long certain songs are, like how far you should be.
Yep.
Okay, if I'm running a 30-minute, 5K pace, I know I should be here by this song. And it's like, that eats me up sometimes. So I kind of have to.
Sometimes it does. You'd think by listening to the same exact music every single time I run would become boring and maybe a little obnoxious, but it actually doesn't do that to me for some reason. But I totally get what you're saying.
I think if you have the right music though, it can have that soothing effect where like Craig just said, with a podcast, you weren't even done, your body you were still jacked, the adrenaline was still going. And I think that if you take finding something that takes your mind off of the run, off of the distance, but you're still conscious of it, I think that's the Zen moment. That's what air quotes again, runners look for. Yeah,
those runners, I don't know who they are, but that's
I have no idea.
That's what they're looking for. It's not me. I'm not a runner.
Yeah, I mean, when you hit that wall, when you get that, when your feet get heavy, when you're like, man, my back hurts, man, my knees hurt, man, my ankles hurt, man, these shoes, your sock is just not right, or whatever it is. But how far away you are, you kind of, I'll just power through it, or, finding that where you're conscious of it, but you're not really thinking about it to me is what I go out running for, go out for a run for.
I want to ask you guys something. So, Craig, you're in Washington, right?
Well, yeah, close enough. I'm in North Maryland. Yeah.
Okay. George, where are you at?
In North Tampa.
Okay. So you have no elevation, and Craig, you've got elevation, right?
A little bit. So I think I checked it when we moved up to where I am now because I thought it was higher, but it's like 200 feet above sea level, so it's not a lot. No.
Yeah, I mean everything's flat. I'm in Bradenton, and everything's flat here. But because of the Spartan thing, I also do a lot of off-road running. There's some equestrian trails that are nearby here at the Manatee State Park, and they're pretty good trails. It's mostly sugar sand. Running off-road is an entirely different experience. There's some good qualities to it. It strengthens, stabilizer muscles, they say, things that you wouldn't normally use when you're on a road. But I haven't, again, since this is the world we live in, the parks are closed and I can't go do that anymore. But yeah, so I'm on the road exclusively now, but if you ever have an opportunity, running off-road is incredible. And
big difference.
It is a huge difference. Yeah,
I actually enjoy trail running better than pavement. But I mean, again, around here where I'm at, as far as I can walk out my door and run. I know where 3 miles is. I know how what songs and how long it takes me to get there. So it's kind of a convenience thing. Mm-hmm. But if I want to get in the car and go, I know. I mean, there's a couple, literally less than a couple miles away. There's a nice. It's actually about 6 miles total, but it's like 3 miles and out and back, but it's all trail running, and there's some elevation change. I mean, I say elevation change, there might be, 15 foot total, like 6 or 7 foot down, 8 feet up, back up a little hill. But I mean, in Florida, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And, like you said, and it's, being aware of, tree roots versus, stones and sand and softer and stuff. It's definitely a lot better or more unique experience, and it makes you conscious or conscientious of what you're, even every step where you're going. So, it takes your speed way down, but it also, invigorates different muscles and your mindset and, I think choice of music is key, especially trail running, man. That's a whole different ball of wax for me.
Yeah, you really got to watch where you're going.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I've had my share of spills. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I've got a couple scars that I'm not proud of for really I fell on flat ground type of thing. Yeah.
Well, I need to get you guys to come out and join me on a Spartan run sometime. Yeah,
well,
it's worth it.
But that brings up a good point. Do you guys feel that the music gets in the way of training for something like that? Do you feel that if you veer off of, you say you listen to the Tool album over and over again, but if you veer off of that while you're in training, would that throw off your training at all?
I mean, I have to have music to train. I miss it when I go to a race. I don't have it, right? So I do all this training with music in my head all the time. Music in my head, and like when I'm in the gym working out and doing the strength training stuff, part of the training for the races, and because you have to do that. It's way more than just running because of all the obstacles and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not listening to just Tool. I'm listening to, I actually have a shuffle that it's like 2000s metal or something like that. So it's like System of a Down and I have to go back and look at it. I mean, 2000s metal, whoever falls in that category. I've really been enjoying that. I don't skip too much. I mean, there's some stuff that comes up that might get a little heavy that throws me off a little bit, but and then I just skip it and find something different, but Pantera is a lot of fun to work out too. If you're really in the mood to push some weights or something like that. So, but yeah.
That last mile, a lot of times Pantera gets me through that last mile a lot of times.
Yeah, in the gym music is never anything you want to hear. So that's a pretty good example of what ruins. If you're talking about how music can impact your training, anytime I've been in the gym and I've forgotten my headphones, it's like I will drive back to wherever it was the office or if it was my house or something like that, wherever it was, I will go back and get headphones. I would probably go buy headphones just so I don't have to listen to the gym music because it's nauseating. Even if they're playing stuff I used to like 80s music, it just doesn't do it for me for a workout. I don't really want to listen to Motley Crue or Van Halen or something. Van Halen, great band, right? I don't want to listen to it when I'm working out for whatever reason.
Absolutely. Different context. Yeah, no, I totally agree.
But it's always pop, and nothing against pop or anything like that, whatever. But I'm a metal guy, and so that's what I want to listen to, and nobody ever plays metal in the gym. I don't know why, because what gets you going more than metal? Rock is not dead. I'm sorry.
No, that's really a good point though, because I will tell you that there's one song that keeps coming up on every mix that I bring up, whether it's Southern rock or classic rock or new rock. I still have Eye of the Tiger in that mix. Why do people look? I don't. If I'm starting out my run, it's not a bad thing to kind of let it run for a few seconds and get excited.
Yes,
no, shut up.
That's funny. I don't know if I'd admit that, but.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking the same thing. Yeah, you go ahead and let that play, bro, because I'm out. I'm not doing that.
But I will say that it does show up on a lot of mixes, and you say that the music kind of sets your mood, and it does, and it will throw you off the mood. And I found that to be the case too. That I have to be careful with that rock mix that I listen to that's contemporary rock, because I will hit a song that it just doesn't do it. It'll be a really slow song. It'll be like a Mumford & Sons song thrown in there or something. Nothing against them, but it's just not moving music for me.
Right.
So I really got to be careful about that because it will throw me off. And as you guys know, if you have to stop and change something while you're running or pick something up, it throws you off completely.
Yeah, I like to listen to classical music when I cook, right? I mean, that's a good place for classical music to take place, but I'm not going to listen to it while I'm running. It just is not the same thing for me. It has to make me. I think one of you guys said, I wasn't sure who said it, but it makes me. I need to move. I need something that's going to make me feel like I want to go move. Yeah,
absolutely.
I think my biggest interruption right now though is we have a family Spotify, a shared Spotify, so. I'll be in the middle of a run, like 2.5 miles in, and Max will pick up his phone. My son will pick up his phone and go to Spotify and turn on like the Terminator theme music, and it'll change over in the middle of a song. And I'm like, what the heck? And then it'll disappear because he'll switch it to his phone so he can hear it.
That's so funny.
Oh, nice.
And then I got to call him and go, hey, dude, I'm running. Please
I need
stop.
Spotify right now. I need Spotify right now. I should do that with my daughter. It would have now we've done something where you can split that up now. But I remember telling her all the time, I need Spotify.
I'm running.
Get
Don't
off.
touch it.
Yeah. Stop doing that.
So we usually, as we get kind of close to where we're tying things up, I mean, I've kind of got the feeling that Josh, you kind of stick with one album lately, but kind of one album to kind of keep the repetition. George, what do you end up with? What did you end up with running to? I
totally like it. For me, it's got to be heavy. I have, I put on the Pandora station. And it's
whatever sounds like it.
It's fail safe. Yeah. I mean, for me, but it's, I mean, I don't worry. Again, being overthinkers, the only way I can ever term it. Like I count, like footsteps, and my rhythm, I just try to keep the same cadence with my breathing, like if my breathing is if I'm getting gassed, I'll drop it back.
Yeah.
If I try to, like I know like 4 steps on an inhale and 4 on an exhale type, that's where I try to keep my running speed. I mean, that's how I've always tried to pace it. So the music, I kind of know that beat, just by feel. If I feel like I'm breathing heavy, I just naturally slow down. Or if I feel like I'm, like feeling pretty good, I'm not going fast enough, so I'll speed it up. But the music for me is to escape the rest of it. Like, I wonder if she paid them, the electric bill this month type of, whatever.
Nobody's got time for those thoughts while you're running, man.
Right. Exactly.
The music absorbs all of that stuff. I mean,
yes, exactly.
To me, it should be a meditative experience. You should be out there.
Absolutely.
To relieve and do something therapeutic for yourself.
Yes. So once I push play on, and to me, I've always been on the heavier side of things, even, this podcast, and Craig and I, our whole lives, I've always been just a little bit heavier. So whatever comes on, and even then there's, if it goes to like Cemetery Gates, I'll skip it because, it will play Seven Dust. It will play Lamb of God. It will play Pantera. It will play all that stuff. And it, I don't, and everybody's like, well, that whole, we go, just to go back for a second, like that whole, you can't understand what they're saying. Exactly. At that point, when I'm out there, I don't really, even if I know, I don't really necessarily care.
Right.
It's just about that. It's about that aggression. It's about that feeling. It's about, I'm not at war with my body, but it's like, this is something that doesn't come naturally to human beings. So you're out there doing something that's physical, that's different, that you're trying to, you're trying to force your body into doing something that is just not natural for it to do. I mean, we're not apex predators. We don't have to chase down and kill food or anything like that. So this is something this is an actual act of exercise. It's something different that your body is not normally focused on doing, at least for extended periods of time. So blurring out the rest of the natural world, focusing on like how many steps I take in between breaths and inhales and exhales. And the rest of it is just, it's sort of background noise for me, podcasts and books, people talking. I don't even run with my wife anymore because, she would ask me questions and I'm like, kind of like you said, we'd said earlier, you got to go back and start over, have a Gatorade and like take a breath and then start over. I got to go again, but you can't go this time.
This is me time. It's just
exactly. And it's not against her or against podcasts or audiobooks. It is seriously, it's like you said, therapeutic. Yeah. It's me time. It's out there just to clear your head, clear your thoughts.
You're investing this time to go out and challenge yourself. I mean, you can ask yourself the question: Why do we run? Like, why do I go out and put myself through that? Right. It's more than just it's more than just saying I want to go for a run. It's
Right.
just that I want to do something good for myself. I want to be more active. I want to increase my endurance, whatever your reasons are.
Right.
And then you have to have something to propel you through it. And that's the music.
Absolutely.
And for me, it's metal.
Well,
1,000%. I couldn't have said that sentence better myself.
I'll tell you that kind of one of you guys said something in the middle there that kind of led into my what this is what we call the parting shot. I don't know, Josh. I know you listen occasionally to our podcast, but sometimes at the end I throw a parting shot that it's just a curveball at you guys to think about, and usually it pisses George off. So that's the only reason I really do it.
That's usually the goal.
Yeah, that's usually the goal. Something to do with Leonard Skinner or somebody like
whatever.
that. But here it is. Here's the parting shot. I'll throw it out to both of you guys. I'll hit Josh with it first. Do you sing to the songs when you run?
I don't think, maybe sometimes not. I couldn't say that. I don't know. I'll pay attention next time, but I definitely do air drum and air guitar to some favorite parts. Yes, indeed.
I have a hard time doing anything with my hands when I'm running. If I do, it throws me off.
It's got to be a really pivotal part of the song. It's not like, because I don't want to spend too much time thinking. But some grooves are just too good to not air drum or air guitar them. Right? It's like it's mandatory.
I found that the other day. Something came on that I really knew all the words to, and I enjoyed the song really well, and I started singing, and then I realized I was doing it. I'm like, there's other people out here walking their dogs. I should really stop singing.
It's hilarious.
So what, George, have you ever caught yourself singing, or do you do it on purpose?
Oh, I don't catch I do it on purpose. Oh,
do you
yeah.
really?
Oh yeah. Have you guys seen that British guy that's got the earbuds in, singing along at the top of his lungs, and then it cuts away, the music away, and people are staring at him like he's crazy?
No.
You haven't seen those
though?
videos? Oh man, dude,
I'm about to look those up now.
I can't check. I couldn't tell you the guy's name. He's a kind of a burly guy, beard, kind of a ginger dude, but he's it's got the music playing and it shows him lip syncing it, but then it cuts the music away and he is literally at the top of his lungs, not even close to the lyrics, and people are in a store or whatever. He's got earbuds in and
I gotta look this up.
Full bore. I mean, full send, wide open throttle, and no holding nothing back. No, not all the time. I do. I mean, in my head, if I know the lyrics, I sing along, and I'm kind of you can't miss, if you got Phil Collins on, you can't miss the drum solo in your ear tonight. I mean, everybody's got to do that one. Not that I listen to that song, but yeah, no, there are some songs where I pick my pace up or my step up, or pick your knees up a little bit in reference to the song, and a little some mandatory head banging. It doesn't look too out of place when you're running. You just give a little extra head bob there. And
so you mean "Don't Stop Believing" by Journey? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, no, not that
song. You have to go flailing down the trail like Phoebe Buffay. I don't know if you've seen her run.
Yes, that's how to do it. That right there. Yeah, absolutely. Just let it all go, man. Just let it go.
Well, I do have to say this turned out much better than I'd ever expected. Josh, I really think you could. Thank you for coming on, and
thanks for having me, man. It was awesome.
Yeah. No,
it's great to catch up.
It's again. Yeah. We share the same music taste a lot, all three of us, and again, I just started kind of getting back into the running, and I thought it was a really cool idea to think about it, because I know, again, we do like the same type of music, and I wondered how you integrated that into your running. So I'm really glad you came on and just kind of talked with us about it. I appreciate it.
You bet. Anytime, man. I appreciate it. And say hey to the rest of the fam for me.
Will do. George, we'll be back in a couple of weeks with another show, I take it?
Absolutely. I hope so.
Okay. Well, Josh, we're going to hang on the line. We'll talk a little bit more, and we'll catch everybody later.
See ya.
Yep. Thanks. We want to talk to you about music, so reach out to us at MusicMusingFeedback@gmail.com.
You can also find us on most social media sites by searching Music Musing or George or Craig Seibert, Sybert.
And you can also find us on Twitter as MusicMusing_ as well.
Thank you for listening to this Music Musing podcast.